waits, and Johnson scores!
Masaba's in the middle. Wednesday here could seal it. Gassman finds Masaba.
It's now Bannon. Bannon with a great ball in. Here's an opportunity. Palmer scores! Liam Palmer has scored for Sheffield Wednesday.
What a game, what a start, a 4-0 demolition job at Hillsborough. What a way to start the season, up the top of the league Owls. Hello and welcome to the Wednesday Tie-Dye podcast. I'm James Mappin. Alongside me is Matt Johnson. Matt, first of all, how are you, mate? You said you were running on fumes earlier. All good?
Yeah. Hour and a half sleep. What's going off here? Hour and a half sleep last night, followed by 5:30 a.m. wake-up call. Half-hour, 40-minute walk to train station, train Amsterdam Airport to Manchester, Manchester to Manchester Piccadilly, Manchester Piccadilly to Sheffield, tram to Leppings Lane, park. And now I am in great spirits, I'll be honest with you.
Mate, all worth it though, all worth it after watching that performance.
Oh, 100%, mate. I said literally the minute I got into the pub and I spoke to somebody, a bloke went, "Oh, you're fucking mad for coming back for that." And I just went, "Yeah, you know what's going to happen here? We're going to be 1-0 down inside 10 minutes. As it turned out, as we all now know, not the fucking story. But really good day all round. I am full of energy for this.
Absolutely buzzing. I'm not saying I'm excited, but I have just put £100 on red on Mr. Casino or Mr. Vegas. It's... that's the excitement levels I've got. I mean, just before we get into the match and everything, bloke in front of me, he's got Sky Sports on his phone for the pre-match. First of all, like, fair play. Second, what fucking internet's he got, by the way? Because not a chance with that. Like, I'm all on sending a tweet, let alone streaming Sky Sports. But he did watch the match, by the way. He did not just watch it on his phone, which would have been absolutely mental if he'd have done that. But that would have been quite impressive. Yeah. Also, the bloke who was running the scoreboard today at Hillsborough was cutting it off before it went back to the match. So I thought that was quite funny as well. You get the instant highlight, and then it cut back to the actual feed, and he'd snip it. Yeah, and the sprinklers.
Hosepipe ban, innit? I heard in Sheffield. Hosepipe ban, clearly.
Either that or Chansiri's not paid his water bill or something like that.
It was, all that money's gone in Iké Ugbo now. There's no water bills. There's no water in the pitch. It was when he come out and he was going...
Yes.
Like, signalling to everybody, I'm having to call this off as a bad job.
I mean, the fact that they weren't working... First and foremost, the actual electric ones, or the ones that pop up. I mean, to be fair, that must be a water pressure thing. But anyway, we're not getting into water and irrigation and things like that. I just found it quite funny. By the way, it's probably one of the loudest times I've seen Hillsborough in a very, very, very long time. You know, especially for a league game. I think Peterborough is probably up there, but for a league game, that atmosphere, I've come on here many, many times and saying the atmosphere is turgid at Hillsborough. It was exactly the opposite today. It was absolutely bouncing, weren't it, Matt?
Yeah, it was an unbelievable atmosphere today. I think every single Wednesday, I know we don't need any more praise about how wonderful we are as a fan base, but I think, even like Sky had mentioned it, Wayne Rooney mentioned it in his post-match press conference, the atmosphere that was generated by all of us who are in attendance this afternoon is something that shouldn't go amiss. Hillsborough in the sunshine with people full of hope and optimism is a rare thing, and actually it was nice to see it capitalised on. It was incredible today. It was really, really impressive.
It was just, all pre-season we've been bigging it up, and it's just been getting better and better with the signings that we've been making early signings as well. The pre-season games, going over to Germany, all right, the results weren't great, but going toe to toe with some of the best teams, certainly in Europe anyway. And then it came down to today, and I'm not gonna lie, Matt, I've been excited all the way up until this morning. And then nerves crept in. I think that's just because I felt like when you want something so much and you feel like something's going to happen, it very rarely does. I don't know if that's just me or just being a Wednesday eye, or it felt very much like Hull in the playoffs. You want something so much. I just wanted us to get off to a winning start so much. everyone were tipping us to win. I'm like, this is just going to be the absolute banana skin. So I don't know, what were you feeling before the game? I mean, I suppose you didn't really have much time to collect your thoughts, to be honest, did you, today?
No, not a lot, mate. I'll be honest with you.
All I'm finding your passport at that time.
I was just about to say, what have I been thinking over the past 48 hours? Not much is the answer. I'm similar to you in kind of your sentiments, in the fact that how many times have we gone to Hillsborough feeling positive about things, only to, yes, perhaps go and get a win, but it actually not quite hit the heights of what your expectations are. Today surpassed it, surely, for all of us as Wednesday fans. Actually, it went beyond, I think, what was expected of us. I know there was, like a lot of people in terms of like the pre-game predictions that you asked people to send in. The majority was surpassed with that, and the manner in which that we won the game, and the way in which that we played, and the way in which that, I mean, I will preface everything that I am going to say about Plymouth tonight in terms of, I really don't mean to do them a disservice. They were awful on the day, but we were outstanding. And it takes, how many times have we watched a side come to Hillsborough and go, these aren't that good, and we can't break them down? And today, I mean, it was 4. I really don't feel like I'm being hyperbolic here. It could have been 6 comfortably. It could have been 6.
I think Anthony Masaba could have had 6 himself, to be honest, with the chances that he had. But yeah, everyone get involved in the comments, because lots of people watching. We're live on YouTube, we're live on Twitter as well. If you want to talk about anything, or want us to talk about anything whilst we're on, just get it in the comments, because as final whistle went not so long back. Normally we have a day to prep for these, even though it probably don't feel like we prep at all. But so yeah, help us out. Anything you want us to talk about. I mean, look, we could probably talk for hours, to be fair. But yeah, if anything you want us to talk about. I see there's loads of comments already. Jordan, HMS Piss the League has set sail. He wants us to talk about how good Svante Ingolson is. That is one thing I have actually got on the list, so we will be talking about him in a bit. Harry said we were relentless today, never gave them a minute, and Glyn said every home game should be like that with the atmosphere. Yeah, 100% agreed. And you know what, we haven't had a lot to be cheering about for quite some time. We've certainly got something to be happy about at the moment. Just the performance, Matt, like overall, like the game as a whole, it was just, for me, a complete performance. It was from minute 1 to minute 90. We were in the faces. We didn't give them a sniff at all, did we?
No, there was no moment in the game where probably Plymouth, there's your first one. Plymouth felt even remotely comfortable. And again, Wayne Rooney has said so in his post-match press conference. He said we weren't able to deal with the crowd. We weren't able to deal with the intensity. And I think in the first 10 minutes really were kind of like a premonition of what was to come for the rest of the game, because we did. It's really rare that you can say this as a Wednesday fan. We battered them into submission, like absolutely battered them, to the point of, 15-yard passes were going missing the mark.
They couldn't get a ball past the halfway line, Matt. There were times where we'd lose possession, attacking, and we'd try and close them down, and they'd get the first pass to kind of break the press, and then they'd turn and they'd just pass it to no one, because we're pressing them again and putting them under pressure, and all their players were out of position. And yeah, I mean, I'm going to come on to it later, and I think you've kind of already touched on it, I guess. Were they just that shit, or did we just make them look shit? Because you could say it's probably a bit of both, really. Like, are they going to have easier games? Well, I hope they're going to have a lot more easier games, which means we're the hardest team that they come up against, which looks good for us. But we would. I bet they were thinking, what can we do? Because normally you have them drinks breaks, and it's the team that's on top. It's bad for you, because the team that's defending can make some changes. But I don't know if they made any changes, but it certainly didn't make any difference, did it?
No, and I think when that drinks break came, it was when they'd gone down just to 10 men, wasn't it? It was Forshaw went off kicking and screaming about the fact that he'd split his bootlace or something, and keeper then kicked the ball straight out of play. And I actually thought it was really poor reffing, actually, because they immediately just halted everything and said drinks break. And I think I looked at the clock and it was like 21 minutes in. And I'm thinking, surely you want to make it at least another 4 minutes here. So it's like smack midway through the half. And actually then just after that, it was a little bit scrappy in terms of getting started. They won a couple of free kicks. There was a lot of players spending a lot of time on the deck. I think, again, just going back to that idea of kind of like how poor were they, it was clear that they'd come to set up to sit in. Like that was plainly obvious that they'd come to kind of like disrupt and take time over things and slow everything down and try and suck the life out of everything. But I think we just did not give them a minute's break at all this afternoon. And I think one of the things that we need to be, I suppose, careful of if we are talking about Plymouth really, rather than just ourselves as well, I don't think that's probably an actual realistic idea of what Wayne Rooney's Plymouth is going to look like. Because actually, I think you can talk about tactics, you can talk about the rest of it. Players for them let them down today. I mean, granted, they're playing against the treble winners. You know, we're winning league, 2 cups, everything. But
yes,
but they are like, you know, players were making basic errors. They weren't running. They weren't battling. The 2 big lads up top, who were both over 6'2", didn't win header, didn't hold the ball up, chucking himself on the floor. It's all of those things that you, as a fan, would go to a game and hope as a prerequisite is there. That wasn't there for them at all.
Yeah.
On the trade-off to that is we were at the exact opposite of it. Everything that you want to see as a fan is on that pitch right in front of you for 90 minutes tonight.
I've seen quite a few comments in this word on Twitter as well, relentless, and I think that sums us up. We were relentless. We did not give them an inch. Every time they touched it, they were on us. And I think something that I've not seen is in terms of the closing down, it was almost like one player engaged and just slowed them down. Like kind of just made them stop, and then they'd have to turn to try and get away. They didn't really, you know, it didn't go in two-footed or diving in. It would just kind of just get there and stop them in the tracks, and then someone else would come. And how many times we'd like double up on every, it looked like we were doubling up on every single player. We weren't. It was just one person goes in first, and then the next player comes in, and then you win the ball and you take it away. And the amount of times we did that was unbelievable.
And it was in the certain areas as well, because we weren't engaging centre-halves. We were engaging centre-halves in that first stage of, again, TW football for everything Sheffield Wednesday tactics related for anybody who is, because he will be able to articulate it far better than I am. It was the ball would go into a centre-half, and that would initiate sort of like our first stage where Jamal Lowe's forcing the ball wide to a wing-back. The minute the ball gets there, he's got Masaba coming one way. He's then got Lowe moving across to block off the ball back to the centre half or the keeper, and then you have either Bannon or Ingleson cutting off that ball into the middle of the park, because there were so many times today where their left or right back respectively would like balloon the ball into the air, and it just seemed to land on Bannon's chest or on Ingleson, and then we would lay it off and recycle, and rather than looking to go backwards, that immediate first touch was forward and wide. And that is, you know, when I suppose people look at what the Danny Roll effect is. I mean, the movement in terms of what we were able to produce going forward as well, in terms of the rotation between wing backs and or right and left back going in and filling in at centre half, and then popping up in the centre of midfield as well. And that rotation, I mean, we saw it for the goal with Jan Valery and kind of like the movement for it. That is something that is such a cut above what we saw last year. And we all know last year was good. The ending to last year was great. And actually, since Danny came in, was brilliant. It's gone up another notch again. And actually, it's so interesting to see, because I'm putting a downer on this now. I don't think we're going to have many better performances this year than that. Like, that is an unbelievable. Everything went right today. Every single thing.
If we have performances like that every week, then you might as well just give us the title now, to be fair. Yeah. I don't think many teams would be able to compete with a performance like that. Certainly, I mean, I've not watched much of the football over this weekend, but bits that I did watch, I watched a bit on Friday. None of those sides that I've seen seem to be doing a great deal, and hearing kind of whispers of people talking and stuff. You know, maybe we are getting a little bit carried away, but I think we deserve to be, you know, to get carried away with that performance and where things have been. Like, let's just enjoy ourselves. You know, I know it's only one game, but you look, it took us till October to get the same amount of points as what we've got now last season. So we've got every right to get excited for me. Yeah. Matt, did you expect that sort of performance, to play like that, to win that convincingly as well? I mean, you had a 1-0 win, so maybe the answer to that question is no.
I think the reason why I went for 1-0 is because, in my opinion, I always think first games of the season there are still things that are being bedded in, and there are still things that are being worked on, because it doesn't feel like you ever really get into a flow of how a season is until really towards the end of September, where things start settling down and squads are settled, and you can kind of see what the rotation is going to be with kind of like the squads and the players who people have got within the squads and all the rest of it. That today looked like a performance from mid-September, October, where a side is just clicking and knows exactly what is there. Now,
Matt, are you telling me that there's no questions of, or people saying, do we need to bed in? Is that what you're telling me?
There was, I'm sure we'll come on to him in a bit, there was definitely, I am going to make a huge public plea for time from Olaf Kabaki, because that was, I suppose, where you're looking at that opportunity for a player to bed in and to gel and to learn how to, I mean, the step up that he's done going from playing, no disrespect to Polish second division, he's gone from playing basically park football to in front of 30-odd thousand, and it's a national game, and it was the only game on TV at the time in terms of like anything that anybody would watch. People are starved of like football and desperate for it back. That would be the only one, and those kind of like fringe players who are coming in. Those, I agree with you. That starting 11 that went out there today, that we saw last week as well, was, apart from Ingelsson, knew their jobs to a T. And that is the biggest difference from last year. You know, there are loads and loads of different differences from last year, but even in that 13-game unbeaten run, 13-game with no win last year, it wasn't for lack of effort from players. It wasn't because they weren't running, and it wasn't because they weren't trying. It was because they had no fucking clue what they were doing. Today, you could see every single player on that pitch knew exactly what their job was to a T, and that was why the 11 started. And when the substitutes came on, you could see again, they knew exactly what was required from them, exactly what the changes meant, and exactly the style and how we adapted and managed the game. Because when he started making those subs on 70-odd minutes, I think everybody would have been forgiven for kind of going, right, we'll just shut up shop here and take a 2-0. Amazing. And actually we didn't. We readjusted and started having those wing-backs in Valentin and Johnson actually flying round and just going and just thinking, oh, actually, no, we're pinning them back here and we are properly going for them. Which, how rare is it that, like, a side actually steps on someone's neck like that? Like, it never really happens, does it? Like, never happens.
The only time I think we kind of slowed it down is probably in the last 10 minutes, where we just kind of tried to keep ball a little bit, which, I mean, it were red hot, weren't it? So I've no qualms about that, and the game was kind of done and dusted by that point after that third goal went in. So yeah, fair enough. To that point of you saying they knew what their job was, there was a point early on in the first half where Valery kind of closed down. He left his man and just and bombed forward to close the Plymouth player down. I think Gassama had already engaged with one of them, and Valery went, and it left him a gaping hole at right back. But Iofa saw that danger and he just moved across. It did take him a couple of seconds, and there was a moment when I'm like, oh, what's he doing? He's gone. But then I thought to myself, they backed themselves that they're going to win the ball, and they did win the ball. The ball never came over that halfway line. We won it back. I don't know if it was Valery that won it back, or I think the ball came inside, and then we managed to win the ball. But it's kind of like, if you're constantly thinking about, oh, I can't leave a gap here, I've got to be tight at the back and stuff, you're not focusing on what you can do going forward. And it was like, strength in numbers. And there's going to be times where we're going to concede goals. We will lose games this season. It's going to happen.
No, fucking going undefeated. Fuck off.
It's gonna happen. But if you're backing yourself that you're going to win the ball back, and that's something that I don't think, as a football club, with the previous managers that we've had, it's always been a bit, a sense of like trepidation as to, we can't really do that, and if you keep a clean sheet at all cost. Whereas I feel like, I know we kept a clean sheet today, but I feel like it is very much, was it Kevin Keegan? You score 2, we'll score 3. I feel like that is the mentality. They backed themselves, scored 4 goals today, could have had 10, as quite a lot of people have said. It's very much like, we will just score more goals than you. That is our mentality, and we're going to be like that and just be relentless.
Going on off that point, however, how good was it in those final couple of minutes where Plymouth did get a couple of breaks to see players flying in to close people down? There was no sort of like, half amble, we'll get over and we'll try and stop the shot. It was people like, again, still continuing to press and actually desperate to keep that clean sheet, because actually the back five, including the goalkeeper, deserved a clean sheet today. They marshalled everything. They managed to marshal two big lads and two. I mean, Morgan Whittaker's a very highly rated midfielder and one of the best wingers in the division. He was anonymous all game. The lad who is it a new player? Is it Sissoko who was the other wide player
on the left hand side?
I mean, he is like a ultimate power league player, isn't he? Like an absolute box of tricks. But again, marshalled really well and contained. Where it looks really fancy the first nutmeg, but then there's two people closing you down and he loses the ball or has to go backwards. So actually, the whole defensive unit, we talk about that right at the front of the pitch in terms of that press that we're initiating right from the front. Actually, defensively, when they did break the lines, because teams are going to break on us in midfield this year, that is currently with two in a central position, most teams play a three, teams are going to break on us. Because if you beat that first initial stage of the press and manage to get it into the middle of the park and turn out, then there is acres. But it's really difficult to go through all of those bodies. The other
that
thing
felt for us though. What we do though, both Valerie on one side and Lowe on the other, Max Lowe that is, they were so high up the pitch. They were just forcing them back, and you've got to be. Certainly at home, I think we'll probably play like that. You've just got to, again, I'm going to say it, you've got to back yourself, and you've got to, put them on the back foot and make them think about what they're trying to do. Especially if you're a team, again, no disrespect to Plymouth, but realistically, a weird pre-season went, and the way we finished last season, we expected to win this game. I mean, 97% of Wednesday fans that filled in that score prediction also said that we were going to win. But so when you're putting your wide players that high up the pitch, they've got a decision to make. Then it's like, do we stay with them, or do we go forward as well? And clearly, they just couldn't. So they couldn't get out of their half, and that showed with all that possession that we had. Go on, what was your other point you were going to make?
The only thing I was going to say there was just coming on to that idea of you've just kind of again just gone round on it. I think the first thing that came out of Röhl's mouth when he spoke on Sky, and kind of that idea of letting players just go and deal with issues, is actually, he said that their ability where we can run now. And that is that was, I mean, I said, it wasn't for lack of effort or trying last year in terms of kind of a fitness, but that was one of the first things that Röhl mentioned when he came in, is he said, we're not currently at the levels that we need to be from a fitness to be able to, we don't run enough, we're not running and competing enough. Rooney spoke about it from the Plymouth side of things. He said running in pointless areas and doing the wrong things, basically. Whereas actually a lot of our expenditure comes when the ball goes into a particular zone or wherever on the... I don't know all of the zones. I know there's like 14, 15, 16 or whatever. But where the zone is on the pitch, you would see players who are supposed to be going immediately go. And they would go, as you say, as a unit. But the allowing a player to go and back themselves to win personal duels, I think is a huge thing, because now they are fit enough to actually be able to cope with people one-on-one. And there will be players who come and take the piss inevitably. There will be players who come and give people a torrid time. That I think is going to take a little while to happen though, because this squad are fit and well drilled currently. So I'm really looking forward to 2 weeks' time on Friday when Leeds roll into town, because that was the benchmark last year, wasn't it? In terms of a good side, and they're the benchmark for what's previously been in this division to how high they finished last year, and ultimately still obviously didn't get promoted. It'd be really interesting to see what that's like, because that was only a couple of months ago. So I mean, Sunderland, we'll get onto it obviously, but that coming down the pipeline, that'll be a more even competitive game. Leeds were miles above us at Hillsborough a couple of months ago. Play like that, I don't think there's too much between the teams.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to read a few comments out, so do keep them coming in. Chris has said, waited a long time for a performance like that. Man of the match, all of them today. Peter Holmes has just said, manage your expectations. Yeah, but Peter, we've got to get carried away, definitely. Mike said, I think they impressed me the most I think that impressed me the most. Even in tight spaces, we still had an option on all the time. Yeah, and just the close control as well was just fantastic. And John, being a long time since I felt the positivity and togetherness at Hillsborough like today. Can't really judge until we play a better team. My biggest worry is depth, and also Danny Röhl breaking our hearts. Well, hopefully, look, just on that, Danny Röhl breaking our hearts. I'm not being funny. I mean, I stayed right to the bitter end after full time. Danny, the players walk round. Danny Röhl obviously does his solo walk round as well. And then I just looked up at the cop from where I sit on the north, and he does his always with his hands out, hey, and I'm like, he's got us on strings, hasn't he? He is the puppet master, and we are just the little puppets. Because and all the amount of people that stayed behind, everyone's cheering, and just think what he thinks now. He's come into to Sheffield Wednesday with a team that was rock bottom and odds-on favourite to go down easily. And he's turned them around. And, I mean, we were doing all this last season anyway, so it comes as no surprise. But he's, I bet he probably asked Barry. He said, probably asked Barry Bannon at the end, what was that song that they were singing when we made them subs? Barry probably went, it's just, this is think we're going to win the league and get into the Premier League, that's all. No, nothing much. They're not getting carried away with himself, because obviously that's a song that we definitely did not sing at all last season. But just to see that, what is he, 30? Is he 34? 34 years old?
Yeah.
Same age as me, and he's walking out onto that pitch. I knew, walking out onto that pitch, and everyone is chanting his name. I mean, do you know what? I gave the club a bit of criticism for that kind of montage of mishmash songs that they put together at the start. My oh my, that every single one of those songs were belted out. And the noise, it was actually deafening. And then for him to again at the end of the game to walk out and to see that, all the fans staying off, vast majority of the fans staying right to the end to clap them off, and he just must be on cloud nine at the moment.
I mean, first and foremost, it makes me feel totally inadequate about my job and that I do today. Jesus Christ! I think.
Do you not have all the kids doing that at the end of the lesson? Do
you know what? Actually, I might try that in September. Just get them all lined up right before you leave. Bags, coats, everything's. Yep. All right. Okay.
Off to dinner.
Literally nobody putting their hand up, just getting death stared. No, coming back to him having us all on strings. He's deserved it. Like, ultimately, he's earned this from every Sheffield Wednesday fan, because we are a sceptical bunch by nature. I know Peter saying, we've won 4-0 on the opening day of the season, you need to temper your expectations. That is a true Sheffield Wednesday fan. That is but that is the nature of what we are, because that's what we're used to. I think he has given this fan, and it's hard, isn't it? Because it gives you a belief, because he's not just winning games, he's winning them in a manner that every single fan wants their team to win games in. Yeah. Like, we could have won 4-0 today, but again, I like the manager, under Darren Moore, that's not the performance that you see. You see a 4-0 and you come away very happy, but you don't come away as buzzing as that. Yeah. At the end of the game, how many people actually disappeared today? It was nominal. 5 minutes before the end, people start, doing the slow walk or sloping off. And I get it, if you've got young kids and you need to get them away from kind of all of the crowds and stuff like that, or if you're trying to get out of the stadium and just take a bit more time, I understand it. But there was 20, near as makes no difference, 30,000 there today. There must have been maybe only 2,000-3,000 who left, because it was everybody, and players getting that, that lap now that they're doing from north all the way round to him finally finishing up in front of the south. There are people still there. By the end of it, it's not just an empty stadium and they're clapping to nobody. It's, there are people still there. And the other thing is, again, it just goes back to that connection that has been built, and that comes from the manager, and it comes from the coaching staff as well, because you could see when the goals went in today how much it meant to them. We've got ex-players coming back because they also know that something's going on. George Byers was there today. Richard O'Donnell was on the south stand as well today. Timo Werner, obviously, coming down from Sasha Len's kind of perspective to come and watch the game. there is a buzz about the club at the minute, and again, I know we're all saying that inside of it, but even when you go then immediately to Twitter, when you get back in the car or when you're walking back or something, and you just see clubs, fans of other clubs, just scrolling through, going, Jesus Christ, this Wednesday side looked good. Or there was a Portsmouth fan that I think I interacted with, which was basically, he said, if Sheffield Wednesday play like this year, they are a problem. Because we are going to cause good, even the best teams in this league, we are going to cause them problems this season. Oh my God, what a fucking day!
Do you know what? All the journalists were probably letting a huge sigh of relief when because most of them, quite a lot of had us as the dark horses. So they're like, look, I know it's only one game, but I'm already looking at my 1-24 predictions and thinking, I had Oxford down down and out by Christmas. They won. I had Blackburn as they're going to struggle. They won. All right, again, they played against a really terrible Derby side, but yeah, they'll be putting a little ticket next to our name, especially if we carry on like that. Just one trivial thing: how hot does it need to be for Barry Bannon to wear a short sleeve shirt?
Honest to God, I was sat in obviously shorts and t-shirt like every other bugger, and he come belting towards the cop in a long sleeve, and I'm thinking, he's got to roll them up at some point. Surely he's got to roll them up. Barry Bannon has not been seen in a short sleeve t-shirt since Sondico was our club sponsor, surely, and he wore number 41. I am convinced he's just decided long sleeve is what I'm going to wear. I have no idea how he does that, but then today that was the best of Barry Bannon that you see today, and that is because he is in a system that allows him to go and just be him. At 34 years old, he has now got somebody alongside him to help do his running, to help plug and fill gaps, who also understands, no discredit to Will Volks, he was very good last year. On 90 minutes of football that we've seen, if Svante Ingolson keeps up even near those levels of performances, immediately will become very much, thank you very much, but a thing of the past. Because I will preface this with, we all thought Momo Diaby was Yaya Toure last year.
Yep, me included.
But on a 90-minute performance, aside from my man of the match today, which was Jan Valery, there haven't been many better debuts, have there? Like, from the players who were on that pitch making their debuts today, I haven't watched many and gone, fucking hell, these are good.
But you know what? To a man, I don't think one player put a foot wrong. No. Every single player that stepped foot on that pitch today all did what the job was needed of them. They all stuck to task. They all came off. They come off absolutely buzzing. I mean, they won 4-0, of course they're going to be buzzing. But from a personal level, I don't think anyone. All right, maybe Masaba would probably think, I could have scored a few more. Like thinking, thank God that we had another three players to score, and an own goal as well. But yeah, I think they all just did brilliant. I mean, just on Barry Bannon, just pulling strings in the middle of the park. Some of the passes that he's pulling out, Barry Bannon. When we had him in League One, I said this quite a few times that I feel like the players that he were playing with didn't bring the best out of Barry Bannon. He's doing things that they perhaps can't see. He's now playing with better players, players that have got vision. All right, not quite like his, because I think his is absolutely fantastic, but they can see things. I mean, for the first goal as well, Ingolson, he's there. He's made that run. He's asking for it. And then he's got someone in Bannon to actually put and deliver the ball on a plate for him, which were brilliant. I mean, we'll come on to the goals if we can in a bit and talk about them in a little bit more detail. But I put a tweet out for the man of the match, which, by the way, it's the same link every single week. So if you want to vote for your the man of the match after every game, you can do that, and we'll shout them out on here. The winner for man of the match this time around is Svante Ingolson. He's got something like 70% of the vote so far, which is brilliant. I know he wasn't.
I'm sorry, you're wrong.
But I thought Ingolson just bossed that midfield, not afraid to run with the ball. Great cross for that opening goal. I mean, and he can put a tackle in as well, can't he?
how nice is it to have a centre midfielder who just plays the ball to the way he's facing? Doesn't matter whether that's forward, backwards, left, right. We have Barry Bannon to do that. Foot on top of the ball, quick turn, reverse the play. Ingleson, when he won the ball today, I don't want to do a disservice here and say the simple things. He wins the ball down and say for argument's sake, ball comes out of the sky. I'm just thinking of one moment which was in front of the north stand towards the T1 block. Ball was cleared from far side. He wins the ball straight onto his chest, down at his feet, facing Gassama. Gassama's open, play the ball there.
Yeah.
Don't look to bring the ball down, sit, take a touch, get your head up, look around, and then try and find the pass. Literally, touch in his feet, player there, blue and white shirt, straight in.
Yeah.
And then as he grew into the game and got more comfortable with it, he was bending balls down with the outside of his boot. There was one which was I don't know how he managed to get but there was one from Kabaki as well, which I've got no idea how he managed to flip the ball round. But it was in front of the South, and it was in our own half, and it was Gassama who was running onto the ball, and he managed to somehow flip it with the outside of his right boot up and over the defender, perfectly weighted into the path. But again, doing the simple things, but giving our player the advantage over the opposition, rather than just what we saw from Plymouth, banging balls into channels and just hoping somebody gets it. If you're going to play a ball into space, that's the way to do it. And I suppose if you're going off the data of why he's been plucked out of Bundesliga's VAR and a relegated team, is because of his chance creation. Because when he gets into those moments, he continually makes the right decision. And we saw it for the goal. He could have had many more touches, look to cut it back, look to do this. Ball down, under control, and simple thing, whip it across the box. Somebody will be there. And it was, he had an outstanding game today. Again, for myself, I think I completely validate everybody's opinion for 70% of you, but you are all wrong. Jan Valery was man of the match today.
Well, Sky Sports thought Jan Valery was man of the match, and it's probably down to his numbers. I think it's something like five tackles, 3 clearances, 2 interceptions as well, which the 5 tackles are most of anyone on the pitch. And you could see that, but that's not just his game though, is it? His game isn't just tackling and being strong defensively. I mean, James has just said brilliant shape, brilliant pressing, brilliant attacking. Ingleson was class, but Valery, wow, brick wall. And whilst I agree, he was like a brick wall. Again, it wasn't just that; it was the going forward as well. There was one moment where he's gone forward and then he's cut inside. 2 men are on him. And he's gone for a gap in between. Yeah. I mean, he got brought down for a foul, but they had to do that. They couldn't let him get past, and he was gone. He would have cut inside. They didn't expect it, and that's the thing that like you were saying. How many times would it, again, chopped back and passed it backwards to the to a midfielder or a centre back or someone like that to kind of restart it and just hold possession. We played a style of football that wasn't to hold possession, but yet we still had 70 odd. Sometimes I think it was 80% possession, but we did. But I didn't feel like we played to do that. If you know, I mean, normally if I'm going flash scores and I look on a game and I go, oh, 75% possession, straight away in my head I'm thinking, they're just passing ball across back 4 them for a good 10-15 minutes. That's instantly what I think. And a few people might think that looking at our stats, but it was totally the opposite. But yeah, Jan Valery, another debutant, and he was fantastic, weren't he, Matt?
I agree, and I think when you talk about that passing it from the back, but say between just going back a point on that Iorfa and Bernard kind of situation with Beadle, it was today, and I think it was the first time that I've really visibly seen it happen, definitely at championship level, actually working to try and get Plymouth to move over, to then draw the space out to play the ball to the open player on the far side. Often, as you say, it's just aimless pinging back and forward, then it goes to a keeper, then it goes to another one, or then somebody puts it out. Today, that wasn't the case. The reason why I had Jan Valery so high was, as you rightly said, he earned the right to go and have fun going forward, because he did so much defensive work that anybody who was up against him got zero change out of him defensively. He won balls, he was winning free kicks. When he did give a foul away, it was smart and tactical. It wasn't something that was like unnecessarily rash or he's lunged in. It was, players got past me, he's at the back 3, clip him, bring him down.
Yeah.
And then when the ball was, when the ball was switched out wide and he was isolated, he'd always look to send players down the line and down and back himself to beat them in a foot race. And 10 out of 10 managed to get complete and utter everything. Even when players did have opportunity and time and space to cross into the box, it was a huge big switch of play. They've got an opportunity to have one touch and deliver the ball. 9 times out of 10 in the Championship, that doesn't end in a goal, because our players in the Championship just simply aren't able to do that. That meant that he, almost battered his opposition winger into such submission that when he was going forward, they're thinking, well, I've got to go with him. Like, I have to track him. I can't just leave my winger to do it. I have to go and track him, because I've got to try and get myself into this game. Like, I've watched a few, and I know Plymouth fans this week just gone have said about Morgan Whittaker in terms of he drifts in and out of games, but then just provides one moment of magic and scores. That was a player today who, I was thinking, he's dangerous. He always is. Let's be honest, we also owe Plymouth a slapping as well. There's been plenty of Tuesday nights where we've gone down there in the piss down rain and got beat. He looked like he was having a torrid time today. Like, absolute torrid time. And that was to do with, even when he switched wings, he switched wings and gone over to Max Lowe. We haven't even touched on Max Lowe yet, who, up until his injury, I don't know if there's a rogue sprinkler head out there at Hillsborough on the pitch today that he's tripped over. But he's managed to, again, completely shut his opposition player down and win that personal battle. Both of them were outstanding. But yeah, I think Valerie going forward was just finding gaps that weren't there, playing balls that weren't there, and underlapping, not overlapping. Underlapping and going into that space. So a winger's drawn him right out to the touchline. He fires into that space behind it and then can get a cross in.
But you know what I saw with that? One player would go, whoever that may be, and then a defender will come onto him and slow him down and stop him. Someone else is either, like I said, either underlapped or overlapped, and the ball just lays off to them, and they advance the ball 10, 15, 20 yards or whatever, and then they get closed down. But then another player would come, and it's like it's like passing the bat, like a relay race, just passing the baton on. Just one after another, and it's that word again, relentless. It was that all game. We just kept coming at him, and Plymouth were thinking, like, they got to that the second water break, probably thinking, fucking hell, don't worry lads, there's only 25 minutes until we're full time and we can just fuck off back to Plymouth.
Like not 6-hour coach journey back. Boys.
Yeah, not too long. And I've got a few other players I want to mention. I'm going to mention Max Lowe a little bit later, but you've already mentioned his name, so I might as well talk about him now. I didn't think he put a foot wrong, as most other players on the pitch, but so calm on the ball. The ball comes to it. It doesn't look rushed. He just controls it. He just takes it out of defence. Just intercept so many balls across. Looked like he'd just been playing for us for 5 seasons. Just looked like a Jack Hunt, in terms of like just slots in as if it's just he's been here all the time. And yeah, another one that I just thought didn't really stand out. It wasn't like a standout performance. But when you actually look at what he did, it was brilliant. And I do just hope that the injury that he picked up, I know he went off as soon as he went down. He looked like he walked off okay. He didn't need any help. So hopefully that's a good sign, because that could be an issue if he has picked up an injury.
You'd hope it's just tiredness from just a lack of, I don't want to say a lack of playing football, but it's a lack of that first team game time that he's not had over the course of the last season. He's just not had it, and an intensity of a game and how much was put into the game. And it being, aside from Barry Bannon, it was warm. I think he just put a lot into it and it just completely, because he was, I think, just before he came off, they had already called Marvin Johnson back to get himself like stripped and ready to come on. So I don't know whether it was just kind of like, go down, we can just get these subs made. Like, just go down here and just sit down and just like, let's get yourself off. The thing that I was going to say on Max Lowe in terms of that eye catching, I think that's to do with who's in front of him. In terms of Anthony Masaba is better when you just give him room to breathe. Like, do you remember at Millwall away last year where we just gave him room and he just attacks and he's got a one-on-one and he backs himself to beat people one-on-one. Whereas I always feel with Gassama, and again saw it today, he beats people 3 or 4 times before he goes past them, Gassama. It's like, you know, he has got the ability to go past somebody once, but he wants to take people on, and that naturally draws a crowd. So then you have, if you've got underlapping or overlapping runners, he can just whip the ball into that space and he's away, and he's got loads better at that. Masaba is not that. Masaba is a lot more direct in his play. Like, he wins the ball, looks to turn and go straight at you. There's no, as you said last year, speedboat, no driver. Well, driver was definitely there today. There was a driver there today. But it was
I just think he had the wrong rudder on. If you want to go for that analogy, just for his shots were a little bit wayward and you know, high, wide, and handsome. So yeah, he's got the driver, just needs a rudder, and then we'll be absolutely fine.
But that Max Lowe allowing him to kind of, again, as you say, Max Lowe kind of sitting back and just allowing him, look, I'm here if you need. Like, you can play the ball back if you need. You know, like, I mean, that is the most Sunday League thing on the face of the planet, like what I've just said there. That I'm here if you need. Just somebody puffing, just trying to have a fag on the halfway line. But it felt very much that, you know, the ball would go into him and he would have space and room to go at people, and he wasn't overcrowding him. And it wasn't until Lowe came off and actually Masaba then started floating along that front line in the last 10 minutes of the game, where you could have Marvin Johnson going round them, and he was probably absolutely bollocksed as well, Anthony Masaba, because he got through some work today where he became that kind of like that bounce board where the ball would go into him and he'd just flip it around the corner or pass it back out for the overlap to go over the top of it. It was, I mean, how nice is this, talking about tactics and not how shit we were?
Honestly, it's quite refreshing, and long may it continue. Another player I want to touch on is Jamal Lowe. I just thought I was impressed with him last week in Liam Palmer's testimonial. I thought that, you know, he played well, even though it was probably 85-90%. But in a competitive fixture, just tireless work. I'm so glad he got his goal as well, because Iké Ugbo, we're going to talk about him in a bit when we've, you know, boxed all this off. You know, he's come in, he's gonna take his place, or he's gonna fight him for that place up top. And, you know, I won't say there's pressure, but there was pressure on Jamal Lowe to score today, but I think he would have put pressure on himself to score a goal. He's thinking, I've got to do something here. You know, my debut, my job is to score, and I need to get a goal. And yeah, I'm made up for him really to get his goal. And, you know, it was, I won't say it was a simple goal. It's one of them goals where when the ball comes across, you're thinking it's got to be a goal. He's got to put it in, and he did just that. And yeah, I think all game, I thought that he was fantastic again. It was just, I suppose, unfortunate for him in terms of that Valerie and Ingleson were probably just a little bit better in terms of performance. But yeah, I thought Lowe were brilliant again. Again,
starts with his work rate. I mean, how hard he worked in terms of that press and making sure that attacking press was set right. When he was going forward, he consistently made the right decision. One thing that I quite liked today is he was caught offside a couple of times when the ball came back over. He is right on the shoulder of every defender that he plays against, I would imagine, this season, because that's what we saw over today and last week, when he is capable of dropping in and linking play. But actually, if Windass picked up the ball just on the halfway line, he's gone to immediately play the ball. Bannon picks it up, he's gone. There were a couple of times where he was maybe a little slow in coming back from kind of like an offside position to try and get himself back on. But I would much rather take a player who is right on the last shoulder. And as you say, the finish, he is right in the right position. If he doesn't score, Josh Windass definitely scores. Saying that, I was at QPR. But the finish is not with his left foot, which is what you'd expect. His finish is that kind of like across the body slide with his right, and still manages to get there. I don't know how we're going to work that with him and Iké Ugbo, because
what a problem to have, though, Matt.
I know, but there's been so much fanfare this week about Iké Ugbo signing, and rightly so. I'm really pleased that he's tied up, and I will talk about him later.
To be fair, I think he's actually tied up. That's probably why he didn't play.
He's still at border control like that, just
just waiting.
But there will have been pressure on him today to score. There will have been pressure. You know, if we haven't won that game today, and we finish, say the game finishes 0-0 today, and he's looked good again and looked sharp but not scored, everyone's going, well, Ugbo's got to come in. now you can actually take time to get a player fit in terms of actually getting him match sharp and match fit. You can ease him into it in terms of Iké Ugbo, rather than what we were doing in January last year where, oh, you turned up, you haven't played for Cardiff for a while, don't worry, you'll start every game for us because we ain't got nobody.
Yeah.
He's off the mark, was instrumental in all the goals. It was a great header for the second one. It's a great assist for him. But again, that there at the back post, little nudge, which I haven't seen a striker do since Gary Hooper. Ball comes across, little nudge in the defender's back to get him off balance, get up, head it straight across goal. Fortunate, and you make your own luck in football. You don't, you have to work hard and you have to put things in. Goal today was great. Involvement in the second one was good as well.
Yeah, let's talk about the goals then in more detail. That first goal that Jamal Lowe scored, the football in the build-up was... Honestly, I thought I was watching Brazil with just the passing, the one-touch passing, the movement as well. I think it's Gassama that starts with the ball, passes it inside, then he carries on his run, then he receives it again. And the ball from Bannon to Ingelsson, absolutely inch-perfect pass. He wants it, he's looking for it, he's showing for it. I think Ingelsson he goes forward and just realises in acres of space and nobody's picked him up. And then, Bannon's obviously got that vision to find him. And, you've kind of already mentioned about the finish, but it's just, again, putting the ball in the right area and knowing that someone's going to be there. Inch-perfect cross. And I feel like we fully deserved that 1-0 lead at the time. You mentioned we were absolutely battering him. It was getting to a point of 35 minutes and the goal went in. It was getting to a point, I'm not going to lie, where I'm thinking we're having chance after chance after chance. We're hammering them. I've seen this story play out at Hillsborough quite a few times, and it doesn't end with us winning the game. And I must admit, I was feeling like that, and I'm like, they didn't have many chances at all, but I'm thinking they're just going to go down the other end, and they're going to score, and all that positivity is just going to evaporate. I'm so thankful that Jamal Lowe scored that chance because, like I said, we just fully deserved it, I thought.
Yeah, I think just to go back into just the goal, the run from Valerie to obviously open up the space, ball through from Gassama obviously to Bannon. The Bannon ball is exceptional. Again, I mentioned it last year, all of us becoming a little bit desensitised to those type of balls. It's a great ball. The run from Ingelsson is something that he did consistently over the 90 minutes. That forward run into that right forward position to create that little gap.
It's like a deceleration and then accelerate again. It like runs and then he slows down and then he goes again. And it's that second one where defenders just won't be able to pick up on it. He's before you know it, he's gone. He's behind you, and it's too late by the time you've noticed.
Yeah, and that's it. It's that little lull you into a false sense of security, like he feels like he's gone too far too early, and then just so you take your eye off him for a split second. I think the control to bring it under is outstanding because the ball's at knee height and he's at full tilt. It's not, it's not like an inch perfect into stride ball. It's a great pass, but it is also quite high up. It's one touch to kill it and then straight in with his other foot. It's a really, really good ball. Again, it's a good finish by Jamal Lowe, but if he doesn't finish it, Josh Windass does. And it was, as you say, it was a goal that came at a time that was perfect for us because aside from scoring in the first 5 minutes, as you say, I was always worried. Again, we've all seen this situation play out at Hillsborough before, haven't we? Like you get in at 0-0 and everyone's going, I don't know how we've not scored there. And then it ticks over to 70 minutes and everyone's going, fucking hell, someone's got to score here. And everybody starts getting a bit twitchy.
Well, I put in the Discord, we just need a striker. Oh, we've got Ugbo. And then I was like, maybe we don't. Literally 2 minutes after, I think I put then, maybe we don't need Ugbo after all. After it went 1-0 up. I'll not talk about the own goal because it's a good header into an area from Jamal Lowe and he gets fortunate and it's 2 and a sigh of relief I think from everyone. Again, I know we're absolutely hammering them, but it's just that. Breathing space. They've got to get 2 now to at least cause us any sort of problems. And they could have still been playing now, and I don't think that they got 1 in the end. Windass then gets in on the act as well. Masaba does great down late. It's actually Windass that starts that move off, especially if you watch the clip on the highlights. starts it off down that left, lays it into Masaba. I spoke about when we were talking about Jan Poveda and his goal against Birmingham, that kind of getting to the byline and cutting it back. This is that trademark goal. Obviously, this time it's Masaba that's cutting it back for Windass, and I feel like we are going to see a lot of that. We're going to see the wingers. They're not going to be getting out. I know Ingelsson obviously played that ball in, but I think we're going to see a lot of wingers getting to the inside the 18 yards and then turning and then kind of driving into the 18-yard box from the side rather than just looking to cross it in. And Masaba does exactly that, pulls it back, and Windass just shows his class. Other players had needed 2, 3, 4 shots to get one on target or to get a goal. He just needs one, and it's just bang, hits it. Keeper's got absolutely no chance. And at that point, 3-0, it were just game over then, weren't it? Really, 82 minutes in, there were no chance.
No, and I think the Anthony Masaba chat there is really, really. I think it's a really important point because the little stutter step to stop the defender and then go again. We were talking about Ingelsson doing that stop and go. The ball goes into Masaba, and you do think he gets to that area where it's like 6 yards, and you think he's got to cut this across, and you see the defender stop, and then he goes again into like a half a yard of space and manages to whip the ball across, and it's a really good finish from Josh Windass. We've seen a number of players at Hillsborough either hit the keeper, the shot's blocked, take a touch, put the ball over the bar. It happens so quickly. I don't think anybody was like, "Oh, 3-0." It was a simple goal, and that's all we need to score because pretty ones don't count for double. Like, keep scoring simple goals, keep doing those things because again, eventually, you'll grind teams down because you simply cannot defend that. You cannot defend that quality out wide and the good run.
Yeah, before we talk about the Smith goal, I just want to read this comment from Mike. 30 shots as well. I think that's more than all of Cisco's games. It probably is, to be fair. I couldn't believe it when I saw the amount of shots that we'd had. I mean, a lot were blocked. Granted, I think there were one point, was it Kabake, when the ball was seemingly stuck to his shoe like super glue, and he had 2 or 3 bites at the cherry, didn't he? Couldn't quite get it off, and I was like, gutted for him. I thought that were going to be, thought we were going to get a goal, but yeah, King's Indians said Bannon the midfield maestro as ever. Yeah, definitely. Lamini Pie said Iofa played really well. Yeah. Agreed. Jordan, Andy Sean Bernard's overhead kick. Do you know what? I didn't even realise it was Bernard at the time, because I'm not thinking that my centre back's going to be putting in an overhead kick from a corner. Like, I just don't think that's in what world does that even happen? But clearly for Deshaun Bernard, it definitely does.
Yeah, and also, I mean, this will, I suppose, resonate with a lot of people in Sheffield with a centre-half with black boots on. Like a proper centre half, as people would say.
Were they World Cups, were they, or Copa
I have no idea. I know they were blackouts. I know it was when he'd done the overhead kick, and I was thinking, who is that? Yeah. And then saw him jogging back, and I thought, I mean, that'd have been something special. Just before we move on to that fourth one, James. How good was it, the reception that both him and James Beadle got from the North Stand today?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Return, you could have very easy to get swept up and lost in kind of all the other new shiny objects that we've got kind of floating around Hillsborough. Both of those players, I think, were recognised today from the fan base for either coming back and re-signing permanently or coming back to the club. There was about 5 minutes where Super James Beadle in goal was getting sung at him.
Yes.
And I think it was quite funny because he's clearly he's not necessarily, I don't think he's entirely comfortable with it, because you've seen keepers in the past wave and big hand up, and he was just stood there going,
yeah,
facing
perhaps not quite expecting it. Maybe when that comes out the next time, maybe he'll have recognise what it is that we're singing and what have you. And yeah, he might acknowledge it. Just on that as well, I thought that it was great how whenever one of the new players went over to either take a corner or to take a throw in. By the way, we'll get onto throw-ins in a second, but they all got a bit of a ripple of applause when they came over to, especially to that T1 block, which I thought were great. Yeah, throw-ins. Fucking hell, I didn't realise Svante Ingelsson had that sort of throw on him. Jesus Christ.
It's like a javelin, isn't it? It is quite... again, I know he's come in to replace him, Will Vaulks. Will Vaulks had a long throw on him. There was the one that I think it was the second throw in he took where he come down in front of the South stand and he had a bit of a run up at it, and it came in dead flat, and it just after the penalty spot, and I was thinking, that's a fucking long way to throw it. And I immediately turned to the bloke next to me and just went, see if he does that in December when the ball's piss wet through. Because if he can do it in December when he's absolutely chucking it down, then we've really got something here. But again, how different. It's nice to have that mix within. We played some lovely one-touch football, lots of flicks, lots of tricks. We also are able to shithouse it and get it in the mixer.
Yeah, but we didn't do it every time, Matt, though. I think he only did it 3 times, maybe even twice. It wasn't like it. When we had Will Vaulks, it was like, right, all we're going to do is just throw it into the box and see what happens. That was like this. Whenever we got a throw in range, that's all we did. Whereas after that, he went out for a throw, and I'm just kind of like, just looking elsewhere, waiting for him to trot over. And the next minute, the ball's already been thrown in. We've taken a short one, probably again to just catch him off guard. Once Plymouth have seen that he's got a long throw, they're just thinking, well, it's just be him every single time. Let's get ourselves ready for this long throw. And they might switch off. Next minute, it's a short one. And then that could be a goal conceded straight away. And I think that's just the intelligence. I don't think that's a coincidence. That's, because I'd be waiting for him to take the throw-ins. If you can throw it like that, then why would you chance taking a short one where you can just get it straight into the box? But clearly, it's like, let's not just rely on that. Let's mix it up a bit, and let's just keep them guessing. And once, if they're trying to just second guess you all the time on what you're going to do, you're going to get chances, and you're going to make it a lot easier for yourself. But mentally, it's just so difficult to do that. Having to think of all these things that they're doing, and it just all came off.
They become like a corner, don't they? And whilst we're on set pieces, corners were better today. Delivery into the box from Bannon and Windass was good. There was one second half from Windass which was a free kick, not a corner, which was just in front of the benches, which he whipped into that corridor of uncertainty.
Yeah.
And nobody actually had gambled on it. But again, I thought the delivery was much better than what we have seen over the past, let's say, 2 years at Hillsborough, which is consistently front man. Yeah,
100% agreed. Let that Smith goal then. I mean, he's rumoured to be good at Wrexham. I think you could add another mil on top of that, I think, after that goal, definitely. Championship goal scorer. But yeah, I mean, Bannon clips the ball over for Johnson, who's obviously come on for Max Lowe. And then the cross, I mean, it's just a trademark Johnson cross, isn't it? He comes on for, 10, 15 minutes and, again, puts that ball into the right area, into the 6-yard box. Keeper can't come for it. Inch perfect. I mean, Smith should score the first one, if I'm being perfectly honest. Yeah. But no, he comes back to him and makes no mistake with with that second chance, and it would get into almost exhibition stuff. I felt in those last 5 minutes, just the chances after chance after chance after chance that we were having. I mean, he had a shot, didn't he, as well, from the edge of the box? Did that come before his goal?
Yeah, just before the goal.
Yeah. So like it were coming. It were definitely coming.
No, I agree, and I think the ball in is really, really good. But again, a different problem. You bring Max Lowe off through necessity. Marvin Johnson comes on and provides a completely different thing, because now on that wing, you've now got an overlapping and underlapping winger who wants to get forward at every opportunity, and you're dealing with a different problem because he doesn't ever want to beat you. He wants to get one touch and get a ball in as early as possible. The ball in is great. I agree with you. Michael Smith should score. Let's be kind to him. It gets to him just before it hits him. I think it takes a bounce, or it's just at a slightly awkward height, but I agree with you, he should score. Does make absolutely no mistake with the follow-up. He hit it so hard that I think by the time that the keeper had actually started to get his hands ready and set, it was already hitting the floor in the back of the net.
But by the way, just on Smith, he's obviously definitely going to a different hairdresser. Anyway, he's got a different hairstyle going on, and his picture came up on the screen. I think it was for the goal. he looks like some Portuguese player that we've signed. He looks all tanned and looks like a different guy. Just on tanned, Philip's throwing some shade out there in the comments.
Yeah.
Although saying that, I think I needed some shade because I do think he is referring to me. Great live as usual. Did one of you forget the sun cream today? Yeah, I brought a hat. I didn't even need it. I thought I'd need the hat for the sun on the north, but no, we got away with that one. But yeah, it does look like I've caught a bit of the sun.
It's a bit red. Get that after sun out at fridge. Lather it on, you'll be all right.
Yeah, I hate that on holiday when you've got to do that. It's horrible. But anyway, yeah, it does look like I'm just going to blame it on the lighting. That's all I'm going to say. Definitely the lighting. Yeah, right. Let's before we talk about Hull in the Carabao Cup and Sunderland as well next week, let's just touch on Iké Ugbo then. I were going to have this at the start before the game. Clearly, I couldn't just talk about Iké Ugbo after that scintillating performance, but we'll talk about him now. He is now our player, finally, after what feels like an absolute age, where it was on, it was off, it was on, it was off. But yeah, it's finally done. First of all, what did you make to the announcement video?
Nice.
It wasn't really a video, was it? It was more the live stream.
It was the cheesiest thing going, that, wasn't it? Because as a drama teacher, you hear a knock on the door and whoop, excuse me. Hey. And as we've since found out, he'd been in the building the day before, so everybody knew. He's the worst acting job I've ever seen. Again, though, nice touch.
Yeah, Danny Röhl, great manager, shit actor, also
terrible.
shit poker player as well, by the way.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, it was. I thought that was good. I also think the announcement, I know they're only a small thing, but the announcement videos for players have been a lot better this year in terms of actually it feels like it feeds into that frenzy and excitement that goes on online surrounding kind of signings, which is good. I think you've got to steer into that skid. It's pointless, excuse me, it's pointless not trying to continue to whip up a fan base anytime that you sign a player. I'm really, really pleased with it. It is a great signing, isn't it? From kind of like how important he was to us last year.
Yeah, I just feel like we're ticking boxes. We all said we needed a striker. We've now got that striker. Obviously, Ugbo did very well for us at the second half of last season. We've now got that man. It's just so, for me, it's just so important that we needed someone. And the fact that we've had him before, he knows Danny Röhl, he knows the system. We're not going to have any of that gelling. Hopefully, it's just going to be hitting the ground running. I mean, if we create as many chances as we did today in any of the games coming up, Iké Ugbo, I think someone put in the Discord 50-1 or something for him to be leading top goal scorer this season. Well, I think like I said, if we create that many chances and he's on the pitch, that could be a very, very safe bet because he could mop up so many goals. Because he doesn't need a second invitation, does he, Matt?
No, he doesn't. And that was, I think, where, if we're being even somewhat critical of it today, there were opportunities in the first half before the goal went in where somebody should have pulled the trigger. And that sounds mental saying that we've had 30-odd shots. But there were opportunities where players would get into a position and I'm thinking, just hit it. And there was a delay or there was a look to try and stutter to give yourself a half a yard. Whereas last year, we all saw it with the West Brom goal last year and also obviously in his announcement video. Sometimes you just need to put your foot through it and actually just have a go. And we saw a lot more of that today. Players not being afraid to, you spoke about the Liam Palmer testimonial last week, and we talked about the fact that there was a little bit of hesitation about kind of getting into the right areas and shooting. It was really, apart from Michael Smith, nobody really had digs from 25 yards today.
No.
Everybody, we had 30 shots, but all of them were high. You don't want to say high quality because, there's a handful of them on target. But that constant data, that constant peppering of a goal, you add Iké Ugbo into that mix who any opportunity, even a half yard, he will get a shot off. Again, slightly different proposition to Jamal Lowe as a player, but it's not a complete and utter removal from it. It's nice to have the idea that we can actually bring on a Callum Patterson, not necessarily to get you a goal, but you might be bringing on a Callum Patterson to actually just get going around the pitch and start getting into players and start really, really, like pressing very, very highly.
Yeah.
He also, I think he's probably aerially a bit better than Jamal Lowe. And again, horses for courses, isn't it, really? Because I don't think you get the in-behind running that you get from Jamal Lowe from him. But you, I suppose, with Iké Ugbo, would see if he plays in that side today, you have got the opportunity to deliver the ball into the box aerially, because there was a lot of our deliveries today which were very, very flat or along the floor, which kind of nullifies a little bit of a threat. Whereas if you get a first man out to engage it quickly, it kind of nullifies it a bit. Whereas Iké Ugbo is good in the air.
So I'm just looking, just on the shots. I'm just looking now. We had 30 shots, 5 of which were outside the box, which were Masaba Gassama, Bannon, and Windass, and then Smith, of course. So that was it. So 25 inside the box, 5 of them outside. So like that's just, like I said, prime Ugbo territory, really. Thorpe is just messaged on YouTube. He's here, he's there, he's every fucking where. Ingleson. Not sure. Maybe it'll get going next week against Sunderland at the stadium. You'll never know. But yeah, just the other point as well is the money that we've spent on Ugbo. 2.5 million is what's been reported, not confirmed. Of course, it's always unconfirmed with any signing that we make. But also a 4-year deal as well, which we don't. We were signing Deshaun Bernard on a year, and then we've had all the saga that we've had in this summer. But look, I think one point on that is we've done that because we have spent the money. You can spread that payment. Well, not spread the payment, but certainly on your accounts, you can make it. You can split it over those 4 years, so you can do some clever accounting. But the 4-year deal for me, that's he has 1-2 great seasons. Instantly, his value goes up tenfold. Then you're looking to tie him down to another extra 2 years, and then he could go for some big money. And if that does happen, that means that he's had 2 fantastic seasons with us.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the length of the deal is really telling, because it gives us a level of security. We don't have to keep every player. We don't just have to keep them forever and ever, and they're ours to hold and never let them go. You can sign him to a 4-year deal. If he gets into that last year of that deal and is unwilling to sign a new contract, because, I don't know, Danny Röhl's just got the England job or whatever. But let's say he gets into that last year of the deal and he wants a move, we can still recoup. If he has 2 good seasons, you'll recoup that easily. If he has 3 good seasons, your price is going to go north of 6. If he has a couple of good seasons at Wednesday, and by a couple of good, I would go anywhere between 10 to 15 in his first one, anywhere from 15 and above in his second one, you're going to be looking at a £6 million player comfortably.
Yeah, and I think even more to be fair. If you can have 2 seasons in double figures for goals, and be he'll be 27 at that point. I think you could be looking north of 10 million for someone like that for a championship player like that. Which but look, he's got to do it first. Let's but at least
when he does it, James, and he's finished on 30, and Jamal Lowe's got 35.
Look, we can all dream, and look, it's more of a reality than it has been ever in years gone by. Just brilliant. You've got him. Probably need some more additions as well. We might talk about that on Extra Time, actually. Patreon.com/WTID pod if you want to get involved with Extra Time, and the Discord chat, which was lit, let's say, today. My phone was pinging every 2 seconds with messages on there, which is always good. Yes, let's talk about the 2 games coming up then. We've got Hull in the Carabao Cup on Wednesday, and then we've got Sunderland, another game on Sky, another Sunday kickoff, this time at lunchtime. Let's talk about Hull first. for me, this is 100% a chance for the fringe players to get a go more than anything else in it, really, Matt.
Yeah, it is. It's an opportunity to potentially try out different systems as well in a competitive game. I think if it was me in the manager's shoes, and thank God to the 1,000 odd people listening to this that it's not fucking me.
Nearly 2,000 now, man.
Yeah, I would be looking to play the exact same system that we have just played today, but with completely different personnel. To give them the opportunity to be like, if you come into this system and this is something that we are going to actively use like continually throughout the season at home, you need to know exactly what you're doing. Opportunity, as you say, for some of those players as well. I think Michael Smith, if he's still here, which looks positive, I say looks positive in terms of from him staying at Sheffield Wednesday, not from him leaving. He came onto the pitch today, should be starting. Callum Patterson, yeah. Paul Valentin, yeah. Marvin Johnson, dependent on what the situation is with Max Lowe, may or may not. Chalobah, is he injured, just left out, unfit?
Right, just on Chalobah, I've had a little birdie's told me. Spoke to Barry Bannon at the training ground and said, "What's happened to Chalobah?" And he just went, he just said he's injured, and then kind of smirked a little bit. So, well, obviously, I think Chalobah. Is Chalobah looking for Bannon's place in the team, or is he more of an Ingleson? I'm really not sure. I ain't seen much of him to tell really, but if he is competing with Bannon, maybe that little smirk was a bit like he's not taking my boots. I don't know. I don't know if he's actually injured or not, but obviously he wasn't in the squad at all, was he? Famewo wasn't either, by the way.
No, which again would suggest somewhat strange where we looked at the bench today in terms of the actual options that came off the bench. You would have thought that both of those, from the impact that definitely Chalobah had in the Werder Bremen friendly, and also how well Famewo has played, because there was discussion before the game today. Actually, do you continue to start with Famewo because he's played so well in pre-season? There must be a reason, but if it is just a case of we've just been resting them until Wednesday, that's all. That's fine as well.
What do you do? Do you play Ugbo on Wednesday, Matt? Because
me personally, no. I would be looking to start McNeil, and if Cadamarteri's here and he's not going out on loan, I'd be wanting to start Bailey Cadamarteri. If not, Michael Smith. If Michael Smith's not leaving, then Callum Patterson. I'd be looking to, if Ugbo is available, 20 minutes, no more. You don't need anything else at this point in time.
By all accounts, international clearance was why he couldn't play today. For Iké Ugbo, that is. And yeah, I do agree with yourself. I think if it's not a case of fitness, even though he has come in very late in terms of the from the start of the season. He mentioned he's not gone out of the country. He was training with the Man City group. He mentioned Man City group. He didn't say Man City. So I don't know whether is that actually training with Man City, or is that I've no idea.
So it's their complex, isn't it? Which is their huge training complex, which is like St George's Park in the middle of Manchester. Because City Group own Troy, Man City, and a couple of other clubs around the globe, don't they? I think if you've got a player who is unhappy but is more than likely going to a specific market, I'm assuming there would be coaches who are there who can put you through your paces. Because I suppose when you've got pockets that are infinitely deep, you can do that type of thing, can't you?
Yeah. Yeah, so he's not like he's not been training at all. No. All right, he might not. And the other thing as well, he's not new to Sheffield Wednesday, is he? He's been there before last season. He knows exactly what Danny Röhl wants. By all accounts, there's constant communication with Danny Röhl, which I've seen a few players have mentioned that. Deshaun Bernard, another one, that said that he's had that constant back and forth with Danny Röhl, keeping him fresh in his mind. And they both said the same thing as well. I always knew I was coming to Sheffield Wednesday. I always knew I was signing a new deal or whatever, which is always good. I mean, just on Hull, they drew 1-1 with Bristol City. Injury time, penalty equaliser were enough for them to secure a point. They look, a team that just seem to be shelling players constantly. Players keep leaving left, right, and centre. I think they're hoping to bring some new players in, before the end of the transfer window, and they have brought a few in. But yeah, are you particularly bothered about the League Cup? I mean, I will be there. I mean, I'm off to the coast for the week, which and ahhing whether there's going to be a debate show or not this week. We'll keep you posted, so just keep looking on the socials at WTID Pod if you're not following us on there. But yeah, are you particularly bothered about Wednesday's game?
Yeah, this is part of the treble that I've been talking about all evening, James. This is the first round of it. From a perspective of giving players fitness at this point in the season, that is worthwhile because we have got a big squad now. And I think giving game time to players is is important because it soon means that the window's shut and you need to use these players. And if they've not played at all, then we've got an issue. It's a sellout from a Wednesday fan perspective, which is again,
I'll be there. I've got my ticket, Matt, so I'll be there on Wednesday.
I know it's only down the road, but obviously that is still mightily impressive for a Carabao Cup first round game. I think it's important from the perspective of, again, going to a size and exercising a few demons in terms of, we went to Hull, second game of the season last year.
We did.
And got our arses handed to us. Now, I know we're
Juan Delgado scored in that game, Matt. Can you remember him?
Smith scored as well. Yeah, Michael Smith scored as well. But that was, Hull were going upwards on that trajectory. Hull are now in that downward part of the transition where they're shelling players, there's a new manager, there's a very different set of expectations around the club for this particular season. I think, again, you have to go there with the idea of, we want to win this game and, we want to be competitive in the game, but we do need to get these players minutes and game time in the legs. Pierce Charles on the bench today. Obviously, I'm assuming that's due to Hamer's injury. He's got to start. Has to start, has to play a full 90 minutes because if we're looking to loan him out or if he's going to be a backup keeper whilst Hamer's still injured, he's got to play. Just has to play.
Yeah, I think Pierce Charles will be that cup goalkeeper for me, 100%. Like I said, I think it's just a case of giving the fringe players a run out. Look, I'm not that arsed of what the result is, although saying that, having had such a good start, it'd be a shame to kind of be talking about a defeat.
Lose 3-1. Yeah,
it's a bit of a. But then again, if it is a totally different side, then you can just say, well, it's just the second string, the second 11. Just move on. But I don't know how Danny's really going to approach it because we didn't have any. Did we have? Oh, we had the FA Cup, didn't we? With when Danny was here, But yeah, I just feel like it's just a chance to get some legs in the minutes, as they say.
Some legs in the minutes.
I can't remember who said that now, but it's just...
no, I can't either, but that's outstanding.
It's just stuck. But yeah, I expect to see a whole different 11. Fast forward to Sunday then, when we go to the Stadium of Light. Obviously, that was the last game of last season when we won 2-0. I think this is going to be a totally different game, though, to be honest. I mean, they beat Cardiff 2-0. O'Neill and Jack Clark, who's still there. They've not got rid of him just yet. I say get rid of him, but they obviously don't want to get rid of him. But attracting a lot of interest. They only had 37% of the ball on Saturday. Against Cardiff. It was away from home, but they managed to win. But yeah, it is going to be a different game on Sunday, isn't it, Matt? Massively.
Yeah, absolutely massively. And for those of you who were looking to get a glimpse of Jan Poveda, I don't think that'll be happening because he's out with hamstring injury. I think they will play similar in terms of what they were like when they came to Hillsborough, in terms of how they played on the break when they counted on us quite heavily and scored some goals. Jack Clark might not be there next weekend. I know they're prepping for him, obviously being there. Jack Clark may not be there. There's been some noise going about Joe Bellingham as well, if they can keep hold of him. Now, one of those goes is a very, very different proposition. But Sunderland are more of a test than kind of, I think, what Plymouth were. This is probably a side who I think both me and you had down in predictions for being in and around where we will finish.
Yeah.
This is a similar type of side to us, playing a different way to how they did last year. It's not going to be like when we all went up to the Stadium of Light at the end of last season and it was a squad who basically in February just decided, can't be arsed, we're safe now. So this is going to be a side who are more akin to the one that was that finished 6th or 4th or 5th, wherever it was, season before.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably more likely what we're going to get. I think it's a really interesting game, isn't it? It's 12:30 on a Sunday. It's a stint up to Sunderland, isn't it? But I think it is going to be a very different proposition to what we played down there. Again, I can't say that I'm going to sit here and, oh my God, this is exactly how they're going to play. This is what they're going to do. Because ultimately it's a new manager again, which is their third in the space of 12 months.
Something like that. It's mental, isn't it? How many they've gone through. Nearly at a rate that we're accustomed to, to be honest. But yeah, I think for me, when I look at the game on Sunday, it's going to be very interesting to see how we play as well. We've seen how we've opened the season, the first game of the season, very high intensity, high pressing. Whether Danny's going to be one of those gaffers that has a home style of play and a style of play to play away from home as well is going to be interesting. We talked about fitness levels. Christ, the fitness levels must be through the roof if they can continue playing in that intensity throughout the course of the season. It would be mightily impressive if they do. So it'd be again interested to see whether that is just a way that we play at home. Look, when I'm talking about that, it's not going to be radically different. It might just be that it's a bit more pragmatic and things. You never know. It might just go like that again and just go, let's just blow this team out of the water as well. I mean, just looking at the game against Cardiff, I'm just going to do exactly what what we were talking about earlier. Look at the possession and instantly think that the game has gone in a certain way. Clearly, if that is the case, I can't see Cardiff being I didn't have Cardiff down as a possession hungry side, if I'm being honest. But for them to have had 63% and Sunderland only 37. Clearly, Sunderland were happy for them to have the ball. Again, is that how they play away from home, and they're going to be different at the Stadium of Light? Let's not forget as well, Sunderland are going to give us the treatment that we gave Plymouth in terms of it's their first home league game of the season. It's going to be rowdy. We know what the Sunderland fans are like. Like you said, it's not going to be like that last game of the season where they've got nothing to play with. The season's only just started and they won the first game as well, so they're going to be banged up for it. We'll obviously, those that get the tickets, which are on sale tomorrow, which, Christ, talk about leaving it late. That we're gonna make some noise as well. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what it's like. Should we do some predictions, Matt? I am just going to let me just go back to the predictions that people put in for today's game. I can tell you that only one person got it right out of 125 people that submitted the score prediction. I can tell you as well that 123 of them have got 3 points. For a win, because there was only two people that predicted a draw. Not one person thought that Plymouth were going to win, and guess what? You were right. So the one person that actually nailed the score 4-0 was Dan Bray. So Dan, well done to that one. At one point, I thought I'd already predicted the lineup, which I had. I had no insider knowledge, by the way. I just thought that's how we were going to play. And then I thought, when it was 2-0, I thought I best put a lottery ticket on when I'm on the way home, because all my luck's coming in here. But two more goals put the end to that one. Do keep all your score predictions coming in for the Hull game and the Sunderland game as well. Use the same link. I do need to add on the other fixtures though, so don't do it just yet, because you can only predict the Plymouth game, which you're getting no points. If you do it now, you're getting 0 points. By the way, I'm wise to that already. So don't try that trick. But yeah, we'll do one for Hull and we'll do one for Sunderland. Why not? Yep. Hull, go on then. You go first for this one. Hull game, what is the score going to be?
I think this will get to penalties. I think it's going to. Honest answer is, James, I think we will make that such a raft of changes. I think it's going to be a bit more disjointed than what we saw than what we've seen today. So yeah, I'm going for it to be a Wednesday win on penalties. Sure, why not? Pierce Charles scores the winner.
What is it? Is it a boring 0-0? Is it a score draw? What we're going for?
Do you know what? Let's go 1-1.
1-1. Okay. I'm gonna go for a Wednesday 1-0 win. I think we're gonna keep that positivity going. Yeah, it is going to be a raft of changes, like you said. I'd love for someone like a McNeil or a Cadamarteri to get a goal if it is. I mean, irrespective of what the scoreline is, I think if either of those or both of them get a goal on Wednesday, well, they need to play it first, but if they do play it and get a goal, it'll do wonders for the confidence, and also, just like Smith today, it puts them in the shop window again. You know what I mean? Like, it's... Wrexham will be looking and thinking, wait a minute, we're in for this guy, for this Smith lad. He scored against Plymouth in Championship. What's he going to do, down in League Two? So yeah, just for the confidence more than anything else. So yeah, I'm going to go for a 1-0. Not good at penalties, but by the way, we still haven't had a penalty since when was it?
Not happening.
Peterborough. It was the Peterborough game, weren't it? It was the last penalty we had.
Michael Smith. Yeah, it's not happening. I'm convinced that Sheffield Wednesday will never get another penalty.
Jamal Lowe's on him, by the way. If we do get one, by all accounts.
There was a couple of shouts today, wasn't there? There was a couple of shouts today. There was one in front of the North where that was first half, where I think it was Jamal Lowe cut inside, and it must have just hit the lad's hand. There was a couple of roars where there was one in front of the Cop as well, which I mean, from my vantage point, I didn't really see either of those. But yeah, both of those seemed fairly strong, not only from players but also from the crowd as well. Yeah. I tell you what, if we get a bloody penalty and miss it, can you imagine the anticlimax of this? Waiting over like nearly 18 months coming up since you've had a penalty, and the first one's definitely getting skied over the bar, isn't it? It's going so far over the bar. Sorry, Jamal. Like, he's 100% going over the bar.
I can see it now. Jamal steps up for the Panenka, and the keeper just stands there and catches it. You're like, better look next time. If there is a next time, of course. Go on then, Sunderland. I'll go first on this one. Totally not even thought about it, so straight off the cuff. I think it's going to be a bit more of a test. I'm going to go the same scoreline as I went last week, and the same scoreline that we had last time we went there, only a few months ago. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win against Sunderland. Okay. Why not? Keep that positivity going. What are you going for?
I'm going to go 2-1 Wednesday win. I think Sunderland will score. Somebody's got to at some point against us, hasn't there? I think Sunderland will score. I can see them going 1-0 up.
Okay.
And I can see us pulling it back to just before half time and then getting one at a similar time to what we did today. That, like early second half type of thing. Yeah. But then a very different way in which that we approach the end of the game, because you can, judging by the stats that you read out about their Cardiff game, they don't want the ball. Clearly, they want to break on you with Patrick Roberts, with Jack Clark, and we saw that at Hillsborough last year. Yeah. I see if you go up in that game, you just sit and just say, go on then, break that.
Yeah, but the worry is, though, if we play like we just played today and pin them back, they're just not, like Plymouth, they couldn't get out. And it's just whether Sunderland have got that better quality to actually find players and find space to get out, I guess. But then again, if we've got Dominic Iorfa, fastest man in Yorkshire, of course, Svante Ingelsson, who is no slouch, by the way, he is quick. Deshaun Bernard's got to turn a pace on him. If we've got those players, Valerie on one side, Max Lowe didn't look like he was too slow either. There was one where he came back. Look, you can have all the pace in the world. We've got pace as well in our team. So we'll. I just
think it's going to be a bit more of a. I think it's just going to be a bit more of a test, because based off that 90 minutes, I mean, no opposition managers will be listening to it. The way to beat us is play the ball forward early and quick, to draw out that press, but then play the ball forward long to a forward and get bodies around them, which currently, if Sunderland still had Ross Stewart, I'd be a lot more fearful of happening. Yeah. Currently, I'm not sure that they've got a forward who is capable or as capable as somebody like that of holding the ball up and allowing players to get there quickly and attacking. But interesting next Sunday. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, agreed. I just saw, before I wrap up, I just saw a message earlier from Scott. I don't know if he's still watching or not. Just landed in Cyprus. Did I miss out? Scott, all I'm going to say, watch it back, and I hope you've Sky Plused it, is all I'm going to say, because, yeah, it is a fantastic performance. Right, we're going to wrap things up there. Massive thanks, everyone that's been watching. Over 2,000 people have been watching this live, which has blown any other numbers out of the water, quite frankly. So thank you. Hope you've enjoyed it. We are going to be recording extra time just straight after this, so if you want to listen to that one, unfortunately we're not live streaming it, but if you want to listen to it, head over to Patreon, patreon.com/WTID pod. I'll put the link in the comments just now. You can sign up. It's a free 7-day trial as well, so no excuse not to sign up, see what it's all about. Loads of people that signed up last week, so thank you very much for doing so. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I've seen loads of likes popping up. Smash the like on if you're watching on YouTube. I've always wanted to say that, Matt, and now I have. I can die a happy man. So
hi guys, welcome. Smash that like and subscribe.
Do you know what? I've vowed never to say that on here. Like and subscribe. Nah, that's not for me. But yeah, if you want to press like, we will. Someone's
if you
even
want to like and subscribe. We'd really like it. We'd really appreciate it.
We would appreciate. Hey, we're nearly 1,000 on YouTube, Matt. So we're getting close to the dizzy heights. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone. We're gonna wrap things up. We'll see you all again next time. And yeah, bye for now.